Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Take Back My Brain. I'm your host, Laurie Hammer, and today I have with me Laurie Rogers, and she is the founder of Positive Activity. So, power of perspective. She's going to talk about her process, how she came to this, but there's always so much going on in our subconscious, and what we're thinking and telling ourselves 24/7 every single day has a dramatic impact on what we see in our lives and what we see around us. And so, Lori and I are going to dive into that conversation today. So, Lori, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Laurie. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to talk about this.
Yes, and I love that we have the same name. It's spelled different, but we're still kindred spirits here.
We are. We are.
Definitely. So, Lori, kind of give us a little background of you and I were chatting a little bit before we got on, and you're like, people don't have to wait until they're 50 to figure out that they can change their life. So, I know
Mhm.
you're on a mission, but how did you get to this very intense mission to help, especially women,
Mhm.
especially women in their own business to change their brain for the positive, literally speaking, positive?
Sure. Um, Absolutely. So when back in, I bet I'll take you back to 2010. There was a recession. You're very young, you may not remember that. There was a recession. We own our own company, Rogers Marketing, which is a swag business that we have. We hit that time in history and orders stopped.
Mm,
Supply chains were a mess. Many of our clients didn't have jobs anymore. Orders were canceled. I was worried, and I grew up kind of a worry wart anyway. So I was worried about how are we going to pay our suppliers? How are we going to pay our bills? When you're self-employed, you're not getting a weekly paycheck, monthly paycheck. It's based on
right.
your sales that week or that month. And which is funny that I was in that kind of a business, given that I was a worrywart. So it's kind of interesting that I that evolved that way. And at that same time, my daughter was home, recovering from post-concussion syndrome. She suffered an
Mm,
injury when she was in college and sports. And we have a son diagnosed with autism. He's a non-speaker that at that time was transitioning into the adult world and
gotcha.
from the high school world. So, under normal circumstances, I suppose I could have dealt with each thing on its own. Um, but at that time, I didn't have the skills, I didn't have the resilience, I didn't have the wherewithal to know that what I was saying and thinking and feeling day in, day out is what my subconscious mind was listening to day in,
Hmm.
day out. Things like,
Yeah.
oh, my clients are never going to order from us. I don't know how we're going to pay our suppliers. I don't know if this economy is ever going to change around. Oh my God, why can't I just have a normal job with a weekly, paycheck? Like you go like da 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 when Mandy is never going to heal. Oh my gosh, it's Craig. Are we ever going to find a program for Craig? Like just constant, constant.
Yeah.
Oh, your subconscious brain, which I did not know at this time,
Yep.
was is listening and paying attention. And the things that you say over and over again with deep emotion, because I was saying that and repeating that with this anxiety-ridden
Mm,
cage of fear and worry.
right.
So my subconscious brain's like, oh, this means something to her. This is important to her. I better find things that match to this. I better pay attention to this. This is what she wants. So all of that's going on.
Hmm.
And my daughter, who couldn't drive at the time because of her injury, asked me to take her to a wellness fair, which we went to. And I picked up a few books. We went to some presentations, and they were talking about how your thoughts, your words, and your beliefs are deeply embedded in your subconscious mind, how your subconscious mind is your faithful friend that wants to do anything it can for you to match what you're thinking and feeling. And I thought, oh, whoa, what? What are you talking about? This is crazy. I was a math major and a very logical brain. It's black,
Right.
it's white. Like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? I never even heard of this. And, I learned more about quantum physics and that what you want is out there. You have to match your vibration to this. And as I studied and as I went to classes and as I learned and as I read, I was like, whoa, wait a minute, time out. First of all, this is amazing. I'm going to start doing this. And then as a couple of years went on, I learned more about Dr. Joe Dispenza, who's doing research
Mm-hmm.
on this exact thing and showing scientifically quantum physics how this is working in your brain.
Hmm.
And there's other research going on at Stanford or Harvard or MIT showing that different practices that you do can help raise your vibration, raise your happiness level so that all of these great things can come into your life and change your life. So as I learned, I was a little annoyed that it took me to be 52, 53 years old to learn it. And I was like, okay, time out. Wait, I don't want anyone to not know this. I think this
Hmm.
is so important to know, especially for young people starting out and anyone really, but to teach our children that, and from when they're 3, 4 years old, that once they can understand cognitively what you're saying to them. So that's
Right?
how it started for me. And it just sort of went on from there. And then I was like, okay, wait a minute. If I'm going to start teaching this, I want to create this really cool, robust program. I want to talk about it, to give people actionable things they can do every day to
Hmm.
get their vibrations higher and to be more optimistic and joyful every day, especially today. Like, it's so interesting that everything was happening today. Here we are, April 7th. But so it's really important especially when you're an entrepreneur, when little shifts and shakiness happens,
Yeah.
self-balanced. And yes, I know all of this is going on over here. I know, but I choose to take the path of optimism anyway.
Hmm.
So, and so then I started teaching it, started doing workshops.
Yeah.
I would go and just do them for free. I would just go to like women's, remember back, I don't even know if women still do this, but the home parties. I had friends that had
Oh, I
tea.
used to sell home interiors. I know what you're talking
Oh,
about.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, there it is. So I used to
Back
go
in
to
the
the
day.
sales meetings and just teach them these practices and teach them
Hmm.
these things. And it was just so much fun. And they were enthusiastic and asking questions. And that's how it all started.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love this, Lori. So, because I mean, people are thinking, okay, so I tell myself every day you're going to have a good day. I tell myself, I have my goals that I read every single day, and my
Hmm.
life still sucks. Like, what do you say to that person? Like, it's so much deeper than that, right? It's so much deeper than just, making your list of your goals and saying, today I'm going to have a good day. Like, what else is there? Because I know people would be like, I try this stuff and it never works.
Hmm. Sure. So here's what I tell people. Your heart is your magnet for what you want. Your thoughts and your words are your transmitter. So what you're saying and what you're thinking, transmit that out to the universe. Your heart is the magnet. So when you're saying, okay, let's say I want to find a new home. And so what you do is you go to the emotion of having that home, even though you don't have it right now. You can imagine, we have this amazing brain that we can imagine what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like, how happy we're going to be in it, how exciting it is to decorate each room, what the front's going to look like, how fun it is going to see our kids running around the kitchen. We can go to the emotion of that today,
Mm. Hmm.
even though we don't have it. So you can train your brain. Your brain doesn't know whether that's happening right now or it's happened in the past or it's happening in the future. Your brain thinks, oh, she's in a house. Oh, she's
It's
having
so
fun.
crazy to
Oh,
think
her
about.
kids are running around. So
Hmm.
your brain believes you that it's happening right now. So what you want, your desire, and I try to do this for 15 minutes every morning, is I sit with it, I imagine it, I go to the emotion of having it, and just visualize it and visualize it.
Mm.
So if that might be the piece someone is missing, they might be missing conjuring up that gratitude, the love, the joy you're going to feel when you have that thing, and then speaking it to the universe. So you have
Wow.
to do, you know, and visualize it. There's some great books on visualization that I would recommend too that are
Hmm.
wonderful, and that that can help garner that for you because your heart's the magnet.
Well, I love that. Well, and in scripture it tells us that life and death is in the power of the tongue, and as a man thinks, so is he. right? And so
Yes.
we are, and also I'm trying to think of the exact one in Proverbs, but it talks about the visualization, the how your mind, um, brings forth what we're thinking will allow us to receive. And I think that's part of it too, Lori. Do you think it's part of the receiving process? Like we can do,
Right.
but to open ourselves up to receive that blessing, to receive that gift from God. I know I've struggled with that for sure. Like, oh, I'm not worthy of it. Or
Yeah.
sometimes we get in that scarcity mindset that there's not enough
Yeah.
blessing to go around, maybe.
So there is that buffer of time because in this human world, we have time, right?
Yeah.
Between right now and what your desire is. So we have this buffer of time between not having it and when we're going to get it and when we're not having it yet, but
Yeah.
wanting. If we can stay in pure faith and knowing and relax, trust and allow those three things until it comes, that's faith. That's
Yeah.
faith. That's changing your perspective every day. So instead of saying, yes, I'm doing this all, but I don't have it yet, say, I'm so excited for that this is coming to me.
Right.
And I also add this or something better.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be that three-bedroom house with the two bathrooms. It could be four bedrooms with four bath. Like you don't know. Like the universe may have something grander for you. So, boy, teaching people to stay in faith every day when what they want isn't here yet is I'd love to do that. So that's why you have a vision board. That's
Mm-hmm.
why you journal every day with write down three things you appreciate every day to keep you in appreciation, to keep you seeing. I have my vision board is in front of me, what it is that's coming to you, to stand in faith that it
Yeah.
is coming. Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing. What do you say to people who are like, "Ugh, that's hokey pokey?"
Mm. I say that might be your belief, but that's not mine.
Hmm.
And I never, if people are on the not believing it or not doing it or not wanting it, there's no way I'm going to change their mind. I can only live as an example
Right.
and be a light and live by example or be the change you want to see, right?
Right.
So that's all I can do and all I can do is present it, right? Like it's when you're trying to get your kids to eat vegetables. All you can do is present them to three different vegetables. All right, pick one. So you're just presenting things. And
Hmm.
everyone is on their own journey and everyone has to take their own steps to discover these things. And you know what? Maybe in my younger days I was, um, maybe someone did mention this to me, but I may have said the same thing.
Hmm.
Maybe in my 30s and 40s or 20s, someone said these things to me too. I was like, yeah, right, or whatever. It's
Yeah.
possible. It's
Yeah. Oh
possible.
yeah. I know
So,
for me it was. I'm like,
yeah,
because I never wanted to do anything that was against what God wanted, so you're in that mindset too. But then all of a sudden you realize how big God is. He owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. He created the whole entire universe. Like
yeah.
everything is his, so there's no lack. And I
Oh,
think
that's
out
right.
of
You asked about lack. So I did live in a scarcity mindset. I was brought up to, and I love my parents so, so much. They were
right.
great, but money doesn't grow on trees.
Oh
Who are
yeah.
we, Rockefellers? I don't know how we're going to pay for this. Da 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 da. So like that's the way you grow up, and you're like, oh my gosh, there's not enough. There's not enough to go around. So now I say there's plenty for everyone, including me. And in the morning, when I wake up and I go to the mirror in the bathroom and I give myself a high five, that's one of the habits I teach. I say to myself, Lori, I love and approve of you, and you are worthy of all the blessings coming your way. Because we weren't really taught, well, I was raised Catholic, and back then, in the 60s, the CCD at the time was not about love and compassion and grace and forgiveness and you're worthy and you're amazing. For me, it was more about you're a sinner and you have to repent and you're this. And for a young kid, to learn that young, you're like, take that in, like, oh my God, I have to do everything right. I have to be perfect. God isn't going to love me. Like, right. So that's the way I was raised. And maybe it was just the way I internalized it. It's probably, or the way the
Well,
message came
I
to
come
me.
across so many women. I'm not sure you do too, and not just women, but I mean, I mainly work with women, and the message that we received as kids, is how we express ourselves as an adults. Whether we had a great family or not, there's still messaging that we have to unwind, and some
Mhm,
of that comes from the church. Um,
mhm,
well-meaning and at the same time, not the full picture. You
right.
know, um, do you have consequences for doing things wrong? Yes, you do. And God loves you through all of that, and He wants to see you on the other side of it. He
Mhm.
doesn't want us to stay in that, right? There's a redemption process and all those kind of things. So I totally get what you're saying. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
So
Yeah.
back to my flipping of the scarcity.
Yeah.
Oh, I told you that. There's plenty for everyone, including me. I started saying that every day when I first learned about these concepts. Because when you have abundance, you're not taking it from someone else.
Right.
You raise up your level, your optimism level, your abundance level. It's not like you're keeping it all. It's an ebb and flow.
Mm-hmm.
It comes in, you're giving to your family, or you're giving to charities, or you're doing things in your community. For the most part, people I know are, like it's you're ebbing and flowing, and you think of it as, yes, I want this abundance, I want this money because I'm going to build this amazing center for my child and those like him. You think about the abundance that you want as helping yourself, but also helping your community and helping others.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And I know you go through, what is it, a three-step process you go through with people? Um, could you talk about that?
So the process, well, now it's more than three.
No, it's more than three. Okay. Well, that was the video I watched, Lori. So
So now,
your process, Lori, can you kind of give us an outline
yeah,
of that? Because I know people would
sure,
be like, okay, so what can I do
sure.
practically now? And then how can I work with somebody like
So
yourself?
tomorrow morning, you could wake up. This is what I do. I'll just tell you what I do. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because I don't always feel like getting out of bed. I count down 5 seconds and I get out of bed. And I have a little card on my bedside stand. And on that card, I can't remember everything it says on it, but it says things like, I am so enthusiastic to start my day. My projects are going so smoothly, work out great. This podcast interview is educational and fun and interactive and inspiring someone. Like, I have these positive statements and they're right, it's on an index card, and I read that to myself because my tendency is, and maybe others are as well, is to go to the negative thoughts I had from yesterday. And I don't
Hmm.
want to do that anymore.
No.
So after I read that little card, I go in the bathroom, I look myself in the mirror, give myself a high five, and tell myself I love and approve of you. Lori, I love and approve of you. You can have a great day. This is going to be so much fun. Then I grab my coffee, my journal. Now, these activities, all of these have been scientifically proven to help raise your optimism, raise your joy level, and your happiness level. So the first thing I do is in my journal, I write three things that I appreciate from the last 24 hours and why.
Mm.
So something simple as, I so appreciate my communication with Craig yesterday. He was so smiley and happy and so excited for his new bed, like things like that. And why that made me happy because he can communicate with us now through a letterboard. So that
Mm.
brings me
That's
so much
exciting.
joy. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really fun. So three unique things you appreciate. One, couple of sentences on, I call it conscious recall. So you're recalling an event, an activity, something from the last 24 hours that made you feel good, that made you smile, that gave you a little chuckle or a laugh. It could be something as, oh, my child thanked me for making them blueberry pancakes, or someone called me to say how great the party was and thanks for inviting me, or anything. It can be something that just made you feel good. So those good feeling, oh, let me go back to the appreciation for a second.
Hmm.
The reason we want to do that is because the software program that we're born with, that we're made with, wants us to look for danger because that's the way we were wired. So we are changing that software program. We're changing that wiring in our brain to go from looking for danger, danger, worry, worry, fear, fear to things to look for things to be appreciative about. So
Right.
that's the appreciation thing. The conscious recall, it's the same thing. Like I said earlier, your brain doesn't know whether this beautiful, lovely little event happened right now or it happened yesterday. So you're feeling all those good feelings again, all those great endorphins and dopamine is going through your body again, and you're feeling really good. Then it's conscious act of kindness. And I'll email or I'll send a note or I will text someone and tell them how much I appreciate them and love them or thank them for something wonderful they did for me or my family or my child. And that causes a ripple effect in the world where you do that for someone else and they feel good, you feel good, they feel good, and then they may do it for someone else. And then it's
Right.
so on and so on. So it just creates this ripple effect of love and goodness and appreciation. I meditate for 5 to 15 minutes. And like I said, I go to that deep heart, emotional, visual connected meditation. And I exercise at least 30 minutes every day. Um, what was the last thing? Oh, at the end of the day, I also have a little index card on my nightstand to just thank God and my angels and the universe for all the wonderful things that happened to me today. And that's it. I mean, it's those practices, yes, that are the foundation of my day and start my day. The other two things that are quite important is perspective. Now I approach when challenges occur, and they do,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Stable fun, we own two businesses, challenges come up, people in your life, things happen, feelings get hurt, or I do something to someone. I say, okay, how is this event happening for me, not to me?
Right.
And it changes everything. And I know when you're in the middle of the storm, it's hard to think that way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard for me to think that way. On those days, I say, okay, I'm going to feel like crap today. And I'm going to let this energy flow through me. I'm going to just do the best I can. Maybe I'll go to yoga. Maybe I'll go out in nature for a walk. But I'm going to let this process its way out of me. And I know it's going to get better. But for today, okay, I'm stuck in this orneriness, and that's okay. So there's change, shifting your perspective, and then also, I think I had to relearn the happiness equation. And by that, I mean, research has shown that when you're happier and more joyful and more optimistic, all those things that you want are coming to you and coming to you, not the other way around.
Right.
So I was raised to think, okay, you get good grades, you're going to do well on that test, you're going to get into a college you want, you're going to be happy.
Yep.
You're going to get this job you want, you're going to have this income you want, and then you're going to be happy. Or I make friends with this person, then I'm going to be happy. Or I'm in this clique, then I'm going to be happy. Like it's always
Yeah.
is conditioned on something else, but that's not the way our brains work at all. Our brains work in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
So our happiness equation has to get flopped on its head. And so I try to teach people, okay, all those things that you want and you desire that are on your vision board, that you're visualizing, that you're thinking, that you're seeing, raise this happiness level, raise your vibration to that thing because it's out there in the quantum field. It's out there waiting for you. So raise your happiness level to it. So I try to teach that.
I love
And
it.
there's
Yeah.
so much work going on around that, which I just love. You don't have to take my word for it. Read these three books or listen to this podcast or whatever.
Right. Right. So how has this radically changed your life?
It's radically changed my life because a few ways. I don't feel that tightness anymore in my chest, in my
Mm.
heart, in my gut, in my stomach. No, that doesn't mean never ever. What it means is when it does happen, when challenges occur,
Mm-hmm.
when something goes wrong, I have the skills and I have the resilience and I have the tools to work through it. I didn't have the tools before. So
Tools
now I
are
have
so important.
tools. hmm
Mhm.
to work through these things and know that God has my back. You know, I know my angels have my back. Like I know it's going to be okay. I know, and I have this little card on my dashboard, and it said it reads backwards, so it reflects in the windshield, and it says things are always well working out for me. That may
Aw.
be hard to think like all the time, but I'm like, no, they are. Things are always working out for me. So now I have these tools to help myself.
Yeah.
And our business is robust and well. We are just so when we discovered this teaching tool, this speaking mechanism or communication mechanism for our son, it became actually I got bopped on the head twice from the universe about it. The first time it was introduced to us, I was like, no, no way, I'm not doing that. I'm not going down that path. Another disappointment, another thousands of dollars, another whatever, whatever. Then I had someone else, Lori, have you read Underestimated? Are you doing this program with Craig? I'm like, oh, brother, now I better go try
Better
this
go check
out.
it out now. God's
So
like,
I better go
hello.
check. So now I feel like because of where I am, when your brain is more optimistic and positive, ideas come and flow to you and you can listen to them. And they're always coming. They're always coming. But sometimes when we're living in fear and doubt and worry and distress, we can't hear them. We can't connect with them. And now I can connect. So an idea will come into my brain. Like just last week, I had an issue with a polo shirt order. The logo wasn't working well. I was like, okay, all right, what do I get? And I said, okay, let me sit with it. And then an idea occurred to me. Didn't occur to me. Someone put it in my brain.
Yeah.
And I said, Lori, why don't you rework the font? Make the font a little rounder. And I did. We did. The embroiderer worked with me. They came out perfect.
Oh, nice.
So I was open to listening, to hearing, and allowing to receiving those things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. The Holy Spirit's always willing to talk, and he always is. We just have to
Yes.
listen.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Where can our listeners find you?
So I am at positiveactivity.net is
Hmm.
my website.
Okay.
Links are there to our emails, Facebook and Instagram, right up on the right in the website. And I'd love to chat with anyone. We do workshops, we mentor one-on-one. I do have a webinar coming up. It'll be announced on the website soon.
Okay.
And I just love inspiring people.
I love it. Anything you want to leave the listeners with today?
Yes, you are worthy, you are loved, and you are worthy to receive all of the amazing abundance and joy and love coming your way.
Amen. I completely agree.
Amen.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Lori. This has been wonderful. I appreciate
Welcome. This
you
was great
coming
fun.
on and sharing. So, and thank you everyone for listening. I love each and every one of you. God bless you. I will see you in the next episode.